Welcome to another video from McFatter Tech Musser. If you like these videos, please click subscribe. Okay, we're back with our 8th video in our series for our final project instructional series. And in this video, we're back in our WDS, our Windows Deployment Services machine. We're going to install the Adk Setup. We're going to install the WinPE add-on for Adk. And we're also going to install the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit, MDT. We're going to see how we use the Adk to be able to get us access to the Windows System Image Manager, which allows us to create autounattend.xml files that we can use to create either zero-touch or light-touch deployments of our operating systems. So let's jump into that. On my Windows Deployment Service server here, you'll notice I've downloaded a number of files: Adk Setup, Adk Win Pe Setup. I installed Chrome, Google Chrome, just to make it easier so I wasn't working with the outdated Internet Explorer. I've downloaded the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit x64 version. Now I also downloaded the SQL Server types file and report viewer for WSUS, and I simply wanted to review that for a moment here before we go on. To be able to view reports in your Windows Server update services, you have to install the report viewer. Well, it's not just one thing, it's two. So you download and install the Microsoft System CLR types for Microsoft SQL Server 2012. And here's that link that you go to. You can take a screenshot of this. You're going to download that or rather you're going to open that link. When you do, you're going to expand install instructions, and you're going to search down that list for Microsoft System CLR types for Microsoft SQL Server 2012. You need to install that first. That's the x64 package. There'll be 32-bit and a 64-bit. You want the x64 package. Install that. Once that's installed, then download and install the Microsoft Report Viewer 2012 runtime, and that's that download link that you see there on your screen as well. You can search for that as just as easy. Once you've downloaded those two and installed them, close your WSUS console if it was open and reopen. Once you've reopened it, you'll be able to view reports. Okay, so enough of that. You say, well, where'd you get the Adk Setup, the Adk Win Pe, with all these other files? What are all those other files? Well, if you look here, here's a little document put together, downloads for the Windows Assessment and Deployment Toolkit. That's the Windows ADK, as well as the Adk Win Pe add-on. If you search for those, you can find those, and for Windows Server 2016 or Windows Server 2019, you want Adk for Windows 10 version 1809. That's what you want. And here you can see I've brought those up. When you go to that initial download and install the Windows ADK, that's not the initial files that you want. You can see here, if you got Windows 11, those are the ones you want. We don't have that. We've got Windows 10. If you continue scrolling down, you can see there's quite a number of other installers for Windows Server 22, Windows 10 version 2004, and so on. Just to keep it simple, we stuck with the one that they recommend, which is 1809. And you can see those download links are right here. I downloaded those two files, and I've got them here to set up. So first I'm going to install the Adk Setup. Second, then I'll do the WinPE Setup, and then third we'll do the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. Now these installs take a few moments to run, so in between, while we're doing the install, I'm going to be pausing the video just so you don't have to sit there and watch a screen do basically nothing. So we select install. We're going to do a local install. We don't need to send anonymous data. This is a test lab anyhow. We'll click next. We accept the license agreement. Now we don't need all these tools for what we're doing. I'm going to uncheck the user experience virtualization. You know what? We don't need the performance toolkit. We're not doing any analyzation. I am going to leave the user state migration tool there. It's a great tool to have. We don't need the configuration designer, nor do we need that image and configuration designer. You know, notice when I unchecked one, they both unchecked. We're going to install the deployment tools and the USMT. We'll click install. We're going to sit back and we're going to wait for this to go. While that installer is running, I'm going to pause the video and we'll be back right after that's done. Okay, so we're back in here. We're up to 90%. We should be just about done. That USMT should be installed here in just a few moments. Really didn't take that long, but no need to sit there. Okay, so we don't need the launch getting started guide. We're just going to close, and I'm going to roll right into the Adk Win Pe Setup. We'll run that. Here again, it's going to be a local install. We could do it on a separate computer. It's going to be local. Click next. It's already selected not to send that data. We accept the license agreement. There's only one thing to install, and that's the WinPE. This takes actually a little bit longer. So here again, I'm going to pause the video until it's just about done, and then I'll be back. See you in a few. Okay, and we're back, and our installation has completed. So we're going to go ahead and close. Now, I said I'm also going to do the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. We're going to run that installer. However, we won't be working with the MDT in this video, but we're going to install it that way it's there. This only takes a few moments to install. We accept, we click next, next. We're not joining the program, next, install, and it's just about done already. It just takes a few seconds. There we are, it's done. We can go ahead and we can close that folder. Now, we're going to pin a couple of our new utilities to our taskbar, so they're easy to get to. So if we look down here under Windows Kits, here's our Windows System Image Manager. That's what we're going to be using to create our unattend file. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to go More and Pin to Taskbar. I'm going to go back up here to my Microsoft Deployment Toolkit, the MDT. I'm going to right click the Deployment Workbench and do the same thing, More, Pin to Taskbar. Now I've got both of them at my fingertips. I'm going to click on the WinSim, or System Image Manager, and this is where we can create our custom installations. You know, if we're doing a BIOS installation, automatically provision that disk, automatically partition it, what size, give it the volume labels, give it the names for the volumes, all those things. You know, what WIM file are we installing from? All those different areas where we pull that information from. Now, there's a couple things we got to do. You have to have what's called a distribution share. So I'm going to right click on select a distribution share, and I'm going to create one because this is my first time. I don't have another one. So I'm going to navigate to my D drive, and I'm going to say new folder, and I'm going to simply call it distribution share. We'll select that by clicking open. Step 1 done. Now we need to select the Windows image that we want to work with. So here again, I'm going to right click, select the Windows image, select image, and I've already got those copied. If you remember from the previous video, they're over here on image copy. There's my Windows 10 installation. So I'm going to click open. It says, hey, that wasn't associated here. We can't find a catalog. Well, yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make it work for this. It's going to generate that catalog file. While this image loads, I'm going to pause the video. No need for you to sit here watching it. Just sit there, right? Be back in a moment. Okay, and our import has completed. So now we can see, what do we have? Well, we've got some packages, we can see the different features that are in here and different settings that can be opened. I've already done this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that auto-attend file that I've already created. If I go to downloads here, we can see that auto-unattend for Win10 and it's UEFI. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to copy that over to my remote install, folder. That's where those auto-attends have to reside. So we'll give permissions. We're going to copy that in, and we're going to open that. So I'm going to open an answer file. Here again, we're going to navigate to that folder. There it is. We'll select it and we'll open, and we can go in here. We can see that this is how we can configure our various partitions. Where's our operating system going to be installed? All those various settings. So let's take a look here. You can see there's multiple passes that we go through. You could create 2 Win10 UEFI auto unattends. For example, you could create one that has the partitioning information. Where's it going to install during that WinPE process? What happens after it reboots? Maybe a different custom install for creating user accounts and such for joining your domain. I've done it all in one file, and if we take a look here under WinPE, it might be a little bit easier if I zoom this in, so I'm going to go ahead and magnify. Actually, you know what? I can do that in the video when I get to that point. So I'm going to expand this out. We can see setup language. Let's make this a little bit bigger. That you can see we're doing English US, and that local input local, that's important. You can research those codes. That's what really helps you bypass a lot of those screens that you see. So 0409 colon and all the zeros 409, that's what helps set up those things. Here under the Windows Setup Neutral, we can enable network. Yes, make sure that network's enabled. Disk configuration, disk 0, well, create a disk. Create a partition. Create 4 partitions. Partition 1 gig in size, 1000 meg. It's primary. Number 2, 100 megabytes, formatted as EFI. Disk 3, or partition 3, 128 meg, MSR is your type. These are all what's necessary for UEFI. You can find all this information on the internet. There's countless auto unattends that have already been created by other users. You can find all this information, just do a little research. Disk partition 4, here again, that's primary, and that's going to be the one that extends out to the whole rest of the disk. It's where our operating system's going to go. If we look at the modify partitions, this is where we tell it what to do with that partition. Label the first partition as WinRE, that's our recovery environment, formatted as NTFS. Number 2, make it FAT32, labeled as system. Partition number 3, just order it. Partition number 4, formatted as NTFS, label it Windows, and it becomes the rest of our drive. User data. Do we want to install a product key? Nope. But we can specify the organization name. We can then point to Windows deployment services. What is our image selection? Where do we find that image? Image group, Windows 10. Is that what I defined on mine? Well, let's take a look here. Where's my Windows deployment services? If I expand out, my group that I created was the same, Windows 10. So that'll work just fine. Right here, that naming convention has to be the same. What's the name of the image? Windows 10 Enterprise Edition Evaluation. What's the name here? Windows 10 Enterprise Evaluation. Naming matches. Install to where? Install to disk 0, partition 4. Perfect. We don't have to tell it any of that. Login. What credentials? If there's an error, show the user interface. Credentials we're going to use: project domain, password 01, username. These are all these default settings that we created. We're good to go. I'm going to collapse the WinPE. Offline servicing. So here again, some different other settings. Do we want to show the user license agreement? No. Generalize. Skip rearm. Different settings. Specialize. International core. Here again, set those language settings. Set those region settings. Registered organization. Specify the time zone. You need to notice it spells it out. It's Eastern Time, Standard Time, not EST. Your time zone, the actual name. And then finally, we do the OOBE, the out-of-box experience. Here again, specifying where you're at. Specifying who's the registered owner. Registered organization. Again, time zone. Also, we can tell it to auto log on. Auto log on with a user account name deploy. Out of box experience. Hide the end user license agreement, hide the OEM registration screen, hide the online account screen, hide wireless set. We want this to be seamless for the users. Under user accounts, we say, well, this is the account that you're going to create. The domain is project local. We're not joining to the domain though. We're going to create a local account. That local account is going to be deployed. It's going to be a member of the administrators group, and here we can see the initial password that's hidden. Everything looks good. No warnings. We can see right down here in the bottom whether there was any warnings or such. You can validate that answer file just that quickly. Everything checks out. I'm going to go ahead and close the Windows sim, and I'm going to create another virtual machine. Let's take a look here. Under our server, if I right click and go to properties and I click on client, here is where we can specify that auto unattend. So I'm going to click enable unattended installation for x64 UEFI. That's what we're working with, and there's that answer file. So for the boot process, that's going to provision our disk. I'm going to right click on that Enterprise Edition and go to properties, and I'm going to say allow it to be installed in unattended mode. And here again, I'm going to select that same auto unattend. Click OK, click OK. Now, we're still not, we're having to connect, we're having to authorize. Let's create a virtual machine. And we're going to call it new virtual machine, and I'm going to call it final Win10 unattend. It'll be a generation 2 that makes use of the UEFI. My auto-attend is not going to work if I don't. And we're going to go to final subnet 1. We're going to create a virtual hard disk. We will select install an operating system from a network-based installation server. That's our WDS. We'll click finish. Now I'm going to do a couple of settings changes here. I'm going to specify the maximum allowed memory that this can consume at 4 gig of RAM, and I'm also going to turn off the automatic checkpoints. Let's go ahead and connect to that and start it. See, we're starting our Pixie boot. Should connect it. There it is connected. It got an IP address. I'm going to hit enter for network boot service. It's waiting for approval. We jump back over to our WDS to pending devices. There it is pending. I'll right click and approve. Was approved successfully. Coming back over here, it should start, and there it connects. Now, this is not completely seamless, right? This is lite-touch. We're going to do Windows setup. Going to take a few moments. So, and this is the WinPE process. You notice there was a box that popped up, and then it just went away. We provided the credentials to connect, so it doesn't have to put that in the screen. You could tell a user, hey, all you have to do is turn your computer on. You're going to hit enter. When you see that Windows setup or whatever, however you name it, hit enter, and then walk away from your machine. So at this point, it's connecting to the server. It's already grabbed the installation files. It's copying all those installation files over to create this copy of Windows 10. I'm going to pause the video while it does this. No need to sit here. Once it's just about done and getting ready to restart, or actually once it restarts, because it's actually going to do the installation, it's going to restart 2-3 times. And once it's just about done with that process, I'm going to start the video up again, because up until that point it's going to be completely seamless. There will be nothing for us to do but sit back and wait. No need for us just to sit here. I'll be back in a few. Okay, so the initial installation is done. It's installing features. It's going to install some drivers. It's going to do finishing up, and then it'll have a prompt that it's going to reboot, and it'll automatically reboot, or you can click the button. I just wanted to break in here and show you that everything's progressing along. I haven't had to touch the screen. There will be, features are done, drivers are done. We're finishing up here in a moment. There's that restart screen. I'm not going to touch anything. I just want to show it happened for you. But once that reboots, it's actually going to go through 2 or 3 reboots, including this one, and then we'll be back. So I'm going to pause the video while it finishes that up, because if you remember from previous installations of Windows 10, we're getting ready. Don't turn off your PC. All those different things occur. We don't need to sit back and see all that happen, right? We've seen that time and time again. I'll be back as soon as it's done. Okay, so we're almost done. As you can see, it's going to restart one more time. Yeah, another one, yeah, just in a moment. Remember, this is a brand new installation. This is as if you put the DVD in a DVD drive, or did installation from USB, or streamed it from the internet, whatever. Brand new installation. So there's a number of reboots, a number of startups that it goes through. Once we're done here, we're going to finish this video up. In the next video after this, what we'll be doing is I'm going to fully update it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to sysprep the machine. We'll sysprep the machine, and what that does is it does what we call factory seal. It strips the system identifier away from it, takes that uniqueness away from it. That way we can take a copy of that captured image and we could deploy it 100,000 times, and every one of them would be a unique installation. And if we go back in here, let's see if we got, actually I think a different password. There we go. And just like that, we are in Windows. Should just take a few more moments here. Remember, brand new, oh yeah, several more minutes. Well, it's done. At no point in time did it ask me, hey, what time zone do you want to be? What language do you want? Do you have another keyboard? We have all those questions. Bypassed all that. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and end our video, because this is going to sit here for a few more minutes. It's creating that user account on there. Remember, I pre-positioned the user to be able to log into it, but the account still needs to be crafted and set up with, with all the folders and all the structure for the user account. That's what it's doing now. We don't need to sit here and wait. It'll be up and running in just a few minutes. In our next video, like I said, we're going to update this, then we're going to sysprep it, and then through WDS we'll capture a copy of that image. That'll allow us to load that, and in turn be able to distribute the captured image that's already pre-configured. And instead of taking 15 minutes to install, we'll have copies distributed in less than 5. For now, that's going to end this video. Like I said, there's no point in sitting here watching that little screen go from shades of blue. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helps you along. And like I always say, oh, there's Windows 10 up and running. I'll see you in the next lab or lesson. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.